Are you feeling totally overwhelmed by your inbox and you're not sure where to start and it feels like a mountain that you're never going to be able to climb? I've got some tools that are going to make it a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and a lot less stressful. Welcome back to this episode of the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're making a cuppa. And I do not enjoy spending time in my inbox. I think I've touched on this before on the podcast. I really just don't enjoy it at all. I would much rather communicate through the form of instant messages or even social media messages than email, but it is a necessity. And there are certain tools that I've found have really helped along the way. One of those tools no longer exists, and it was a game called the email game. It was incredible. You could log in and then you'd have a timer and see how quickly you could get through your inbox. It had a signature that said, excuse the brevity, but I'm going through the email game to get through my inbox quickly. And it was just so much easier. That no longer exists, but there are a few tools that I found are really useful. So the first tool is one called Chuck. And Chuck is brilliant in that what it does is it collapses all of your emails by the sender. So, for example, I can go in my inbox and know that there's a load of, I don't get Facebook notifications, but say there's a newsletter that I don't tend to open very often, or like a retailer I get newsletters from. I can go and archive or delete all of those emails in one go. So I can go click on that sender, archive, delete all. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you have a lot of emails like that, especially if it's a lot of newsletters and stuff like that, that can really help clear a big chunk of that and get the momentum going and make it feel a little bit easier. So that is always my first stop. Go to Chuck and chuck out some of those emails that I no longer need to access. It also really helps with realizing that I have a lot of emails that are a chain in my inbox, and then I can archive everything but the most recent one because everything's in that. So that all makes it easier. The next one I really like is Speaking Email. It's not the prettiest app, but what it does is I can open up the app and it will read out my inbox to me. So it reads each email, it reads the starter, like who it's from, the subject, and then asks whether I want to listen to more, or I can say archive, delete. So sometimes I use this when I'm driving, just because if I know I'm going to get through quite a few and I've got a boring drive, I'm still able to focus on the road, but it means I can get through that. But there have been times where I just do not want to do the work. So I might put the Nintendo on and go through my emails, like saying what I need to do, archive, delete, move. I can even move it to different folders, or while I'm doing something fun. So that can be really good. So these both methods are not necessarily about responding to emails, but getting rid of all the ones that I no longer need to work with. The next one I really like, and I use it for a lot of different things, but it's a tool called Speechify. I use it on my phone, but I also have it on my desktop, and it's on every browser window as well. So what it does is it reads anything on the page for you. So it can read an email out to you. It can read anything that's on a document. But what I really like is it says how long it will take for it to read it out to you. And for some reason, that helps my brain sometimes when I see, oh, this is a 30-second email. Okay, great. Or this is a 2-minute email. It feels like it will be 20 minutes for me to read, but it's only 2 minutes. And I can always change the speed. And you can also choose different voices and things like that. So Speechify is really good for various different reasons, but for email, if I'm finding there's a long email to get through, sometimes I will use Speechify and get it to read it out whilst I'm doing something else, like emptying the dishwasher or preparing dinner, something like that. If my focus isn't quite there with listening to it, it makes it a bit easier. And the final one I use then, so hopefully Chuck has meant that I've reduced the amount of newsletters and things. Speaking email usually means that I've managed to archive through some unnecessary stuff or things I don't need. Speechify helps me through the longer emails. And then when it comes to actually using actions, I really love Sunsama. And Sunsama I use for a lot of different things in my business. But one of my favourite functions is that you can go in, you load your email within the Sunsama platform. And what you can then do is take each email and turn it into a task. So you move the email into your task list, it archives it from your inbox, so it's no longer in there, and you can play or add the action that you need to take. And that's actually one of the biggest problems with inboxes, is that quite often the email we sat there and I'll think, I need to take action on that, but I don't know exactly what the action is. So by forcing me to turn it into a task and then say, I need to go back and say no to this, or I need to rearrange this, it forces me to turn it into an action that I can then add into my calendar and get done. So hopefully I won't have a lot of these newsletters and things like that, and it's just actionable emails that I've taken out of my inbox and put into my Sunsama task list, which then I can add into my calendar as well. And it syncs with things like Notion, Trello, Asana, I think, ClickUp, all those tools as well. So you can always add it in there if that's your preference. So those are kind of the 4 tools. Inbox is a lovely concept, but I'm never going to be an inbox zero person. And these are the tools that kind of make it feel a little bit less overwhelming. So I'd really recommend, and if you check out any of them and you only want to check out one, I would say Chuck is the best one. And also just a little hack, especially this is what I do in Gmail. If you set up a filter in Gmail to say that any emails with unsubscribe in the body of the email, the word unsubscribe, that will go automatically into a newsletter subfolder. That means that they're not all sitting in my urgent folder. They automatically, because it's only really newsletters that have unsubscribe in it, they will all go into that newsletter folder. And I tend to look at that once or twice a day, whereas everything else tends to go into my primary inbox, which can help a little bit. I would love to know if you have any email hacks, though. Do let me know in the comments, or come find me on social media. And if you're looking for lots of other tools that might be useful as well, if you go to my website, freelancelifestyle.co.uk, under freebies, there's all of the tools that I love to use in my business. So have a look through that. I'll pop the link as well in the show notes as well. I hope you have a wonderful freelance week without too much stress in your inbox.